When you walk into a high-stakes Las Vegas venue, you expect over-the-top light shows, massive backup dancers, towering LED displays, and high-end fashion. The modern Sin City stage is built on excess, where artists spend millions of dollars on wardrobe changes and theatrical setups just to keep an audience from looking at their phones. But when the lights dim inside the resort for one specific 18-year-old vocal powerhouse, the audience instantly notices something completely out of place. Walking out to center stage under the glare of intense spotlights, her feet are entirely bare. No designer heels, no glittery boots, no footwear whatsoever, just an unbelievable smoky voice that sounds like it was transported straight out of a 1940s underground jazz club. Most people sitting in those expensive front row seats naturally assume it's an eccentric marketing gimmick, a clever psychological trick designed by a Hollywood branding agency to make a new artist stand out in a crowded market. After all, Las Vegas is built on illusions and carefully crafted personas. But the real story behind why this young woman refuses to wear shoes on stage is far deeper, far more emotional, and infinitely darker than anyone sitting in that air-conditioned auditorium could possibly imagine. It isn't a style choice, nor is it a PR stunt. It's the fulfillment of a solemn pact made years ago on a freezing street thousands of miles away. The atmospheric tension inside the venue was palpable as music lovers, industry insiders, and curious tourists gathered for a rare kind of Las Vegas performance. Modern audiences are used to highly polished pop stars relying on heavy auto-tune, pre-recorded backing tracks, and synchronized choreography to carry a 90-minute set. Jordan offers the exact opposite. The moment she gripped the metallic microphone and took her first breath, a deep, vintage Billie Holiday soul tone echoed through the massive auditorium, catching first-time listeners completely off guard. The sheer power of her voice doesn't sound like it belongs to someone born in the digital age. Every single note felt effortless, gliding smoothly over the arrangements of a live brass and rhythm band while she paced the cold stage entirely barefoot. For people watching her live for the first time, the visual contrast is almost surreal. Here is an artist commanding one of the most famous stages in Nevada with the quiet authority of an ancient musical icon, completely stripped of modern celebrity armor. There are no flashing lights to hide flaws, no lip-syncing safety nets, and no luxury footwear to project status. But if you look past the stunning vocals and ask why a multi-million-dollar production allows its star to perform barefoot, you uncover a history rooted in profound human empathy. To truly understand why she walked onto that Nevada stage shoeless, you have to travel back more than a decade to a life-altering moment in her early childhood. When was just 6 years old, she traveled overseas with her family and encountered an impoverished young girl walking along a freezing, paved road with no shoes on her feet. The girl's feet were dirty, bruised, and visibly damaged by the harsh climate. Devastated by the realization that another child was suffering right in front of her while she wore warm shoes, 6-year-old didn't hesitate. She sat down on the curb, unlaced her own shoes, and handed them directly to the stranger. The young girl was so overwhelmed by this simple act of compassion that she made a heartfelt promise to pray for dreams and future. That brief, quiet moment on a dusty street forever altered the trajectory of life. Touched to her core, made a sacred vow that day. As long as there were people in the world who could not afford basic footwear, she would perform on stage entirely barefoot as a permanent reminder of human struggle, humility, and gratitude. It was a silent pact to keep her feet firmly planted on the ground, no matter how high her career elevated her. But carrying that heavy emotional vow into the high-stakes, hyper-commercialized world of global entertainment was about to throw monumental obstacles in her path. By the time she turned 8 years old, her talent could no longer be kept quiet. She entered Norway's Got Talent, stepping onto the audition floor barefoot and singing a rendition of Gloomy Sunday that felt almost hauntingly mature. The judges sat in stunned silence as an 8-year-old girl channeled the grief, soul, and vocal resonance of jazz singers who had lived through decades of heartbreak. The clip hit the internet like a tidal wave, pulling in tens of millions of views almost overnight. While millions celebrated her as a once-in-a-generation child prodigy, music critics and skeptical online commentators immediately began raising questions. Many claimed her success was just a temporary internet fluke or the result of pushy stage parents forcing a child to imitate older vocalists. But years later, she walked out onto the stage of America's Got Talent, the champions to prove the doubters wrong once and for all. Taking on Queen's legendary, nearly untouchable anthem Bohemian Rhapsody, she stripped away the rock production and transformed it into a slow, emotional jazz ballad. The room went silent. Slammed down on the golden buzzer, sending confetti raining over her bare feet and catapulting the performance into one of the most viral talent show moments in history. Yet, as the global applause grew louder, a much harder challenge was quietly brewing behind closed doors. Following her explosive television success, major record labels entered an aggressive bidding war to sign her. Music executives at corporate headquarters saw a massive commercial opportunity. To the suits and corner offices, Jordan was a marketable brand that could be turned into a chart-topping pop star. But forcing an authentic soul, jazz, and blues vocalist into a pre-packaged pop formula quickly created deep creative friction. Executives wanted polished, radio-friendly tracks with modern trap beats and auto-tuned hooks, arguing that vintage jazz had a limited market in the streaming era. Insiders began noticing a subtle slowdown in her release schedule, triggering fan speculation that she was fighting a silent battle for creative control behind the scenes. Industry insiders knew the playbook: conform to what the record executives want or get shelved and forgotten. But rather than surrendering her musical soul to fit corporate expectations, made a gutsy move that sent shockwaves through her inner circle. She chose to walk away from corporate constraints, taking complete control of her artistic direction and pivoting toward independence. It was a terrifying financial gamble that could have ended her career, but it set the stage for her biggest triumphant moment yet. Taking back her creative freedom paid off in ways the music industry didn't see coming. Shortly after regaining control over her catalog, she booked her headlining performances in Las Vegas. Sin City audiences are notoriously difficult to impress. They are accustomed to high-budget illusions, world-class acrobatics, and over-the-top stadium pop spectacles where every second is calculated by a team of directors. Bringing a minimalist, organic jazz act into that environment was a massive risk. But the moment she stepped onto the stage, barefoot, humble, and backed only by a live band, she captivated the entire room. She delivered that blended original compositions with reimagined classics, relying entirely on vocal dynamic control and raw emotion rather than pyrotechnics. Reviewers who attended the shows described the experience as stepping into a timeless music sanctuary in the middle of a noisy desert city. She proved that authentic talent doesn't need superficial gimmicks or multi-million-dollar production budgets to command authority. However, maintaining that level of raw honesty while navigating the modern entertainment industry comes with hidden personal costs that few ever talk about. The transition from a viral child prodigy to a respected adult recording artist is widely considered one of the most dangerous gauntlets in the music industry. The history of entertainment is littered with young talents who lost their identity, burned out, or faded into complete obscurity the moment their novelty factor wore off. Faced constant external pressure to abandon her barefoot tradition, update her wardrobe to match provocative internet trends, and adopt a more conventional pop star image to maximize social media metrics. Instead of bending to the pressure, she doubled down on her original vision. She isolated herself to write her own songs based on personal poetry, real-world observations, and genuine life experiences rather than relying on songwriting factories. By refusing to compromise her personal principles or trade her humility for temporary fame, she built an intensely loyal global that respects her integrity just as much as her vocal range. She demonstrated that longevity isn't built on viral trends, it's built on trust between an artist and an audience. Jordan's headlining performance in Las Vegas was much more than just a successful concert series. It was a quiet, powerful rebellion against the synthetic nature of modern stardom. Every single time she steps onto a famous stage without shoes, she honors a promise made years ago to a shoeless child on a cold street corner, keeping a human connection alive in an industry often consumed by greed and vanity. In a commercial landscape where artists routinely change their sound, their look, and their values just to stay relevant for another week, she proved that staying true to your roots can carry you all the way to the top of the world. It leaves you with a thought-provoking question. In a world obsessed with status, fashion, and superficial perfection, how many mainstream superstars would have the courage to strip away the fame, the designer shoes, and the corporate polish just to keep their soul intact?